القائد، الوالد، المعلم، الحكيم.
Recent reports indicate that the United Arab Emirates, UAE, is making a significant shift in its stance, potentially reshaping the dynamics of the ongoing Israeli military campaign in Gaza. As news of bombings devastating hospitals, shelters and aid trucks in Gaza unfolds, several countries are reconsidering their approach to the conflict. Despite the UAE's normalization with Israel through the Abraham Accords, it is now taking steps to reassess and deformalize its ties with Israel, which seems to be acting beyond international norms. We appreciate your support as we bring you comprehensive coverage, often overlooked by the mainstream media. Please like and share to enable others to access alternative news about the conflict. Hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our future updates. The UAE is reportedly joining other nations, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Morocco and Algeria, in rejecting Israel's heavy-handed approach and the perceived silence of Western democracies. Speculation suggests that the upcoming meeting of Muslim countries this weekend may mark the beginning of a regional escalation and the end of Israeli-Arab normalization. If this shift occurs, it could signify a victory for Iranian political strategies and a geopolitical shift against Israel and the alleged hypocritical stance of the collective West. Saudi Arabia has notably increased its warnings against Israel, with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman condemning Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip, which has resulted in the deaths of over 10,000 Palestinians and the displacement of hundreds of thousands within the besieged enclave.
The holding of this summit comes in this exceptional and painful circumstance. In this regard, we affirm our condemnation and categorical rejection of this senseless war against our brothers in Palestine, which has claimed the lives of thousands of unarmed civilians, including children, women, and elderly, and destroyed hospitals, places of worship, and infrastructure. The Kingdom has made unremitting efforts since the onset of the events to protect the civilians in the Gaza Strip and has continued to consult and coordinate with its brothers in key countries in the international community to stop the war. From this standpoint, we renew our demands to immediately cease the military operations, provide humanitarian corridors to relieve civilians, and enable international humanitarian organizations to perform their role. We also affirm the call to release hostages and detainees and save lives of innocent people. We are facing a humanitarian catastrophe that testifies to the failure of the Security Council and the international community to put an end to the flagrant Israeli violations of international laws and norms and international humanitarian law. It demonstrates the double standards and selectivity in their application, threatening international security and stability. Therefore, it requires a coordinated collective effort from all of us to take effective action to confront this unfortunate situation. We call for working together to lift the siege by bringing in humanitarian and relief aid and securing medical supplies for the sick and injured in Gaza. Majesty's Excellency Highness of the Kingdom affirms its categorical rejection of the continuation of aggression, occupation, and forced displacement of people in Gaza.
Throughout the conflict, the UAE has been perceived as aligning with the occupying forces and their allies, even threatening to abandon Palestine in response to their suffering. While it condemned attacks on Israel on October 7th, it did not take a strong stand when Israel unleashed a missile barrage on innocent and defenseless Palestinians. However, it appears that this stance is about to change as the death toll in Israel's ongoing military campaign in Gaza continues to rise, reaching approximately 11,000 lives, including over 4,000 children. Reports suggest that the UAE is abandoning its goodwill with Israel and the United States to pursue an independent policy aimed at holding Israel accountable for alleged disregard for basic human rights, resulting in severe sanctions, downgrading of ties, and trade relationships, as well as supporting the recognition of a Palestinian state. The UAE will also reportedly end the normalization of ties facilitated by its signing of the Abraham Accords in 2020, a move already undertaken by other signatories, including Bahrain. Recently, Bahrain announced the return of its ambassador from Israel, and the Israeli ambassador in Manama departed the kingdom, marking an end to normalization. While Sudan, a signatory to the Accords in 2021, expressed support for the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to have their independent state, and despite its internal conflict, the nation has reportedly taken steps to align its actions with this support, indicating that any normalization with Israel might be considered a crime according to new declarations. Morocco has strongly denounced Israel's bombing campaign in Gaza, expressing dissatisfaction with what it perceives as inaction by the international community. There are increasing calls for Morocco to sever any trade, military, or normalization ties with Israel due to its continued bombing campaign in Gaza. The UAE seems to have joined the group of countries viewing normalization with Israel as a threat to their ability to appease their Arab population. The UAE initially opted to send medical aids to address challenges in surgeries and shelters caused by Israeli attacks on hospitals. However, it deliberately chose not to coordinate humanitarian responses with the Israel Defense Forces and instead landed aid in Egypt for distribution into the Gaza Strip. The UAE initiated the establishment of a hospital with 150 beds, covering general surgery, orthopedics, pediatrics, gynecology, dentistry, psychiatry, family medicine, and internal medicine clinics. This humanitarian effort reflects the UAE's historical support for the Palestinian people in the face of challenging circumstances in Gaza. Before this gesture, the UAE's Foreign Office expressed rare anger, warning of the real risk of regional spillover from the Israel-Palestine conflict and actively working to secure a humanitarian ceasefire while seeking to hold Israel accountable for its actions. Reports suggest that the UAE may consider limited military action to ensure aid reaches Gaza and prevent the forceful ejection of Palestinians from their homes, similar to events in the 1940s. This potential move by the UAE signifies growing diplomatic and economic independence, even if it means ignoring concerns from its main security guarantor, the United States. Abu Dhabi has faced scrutiny from the US and the EU for maintaining independent links to Russia, impacting Western efforts to economically pressure Moscow due to the war in Ukraine. Western governments have sought to prevent certain dual-use products from reaching Russia through entities based in the UAE, with sanctions imposed on specific UAE-based entities earlier this year. While this development may appear unfavorable for UAE's trade, it does demonstrate the Islamic Emirates' ability to act independently, free from interference by the United States and its allies. This independence is expected to play a crucial role in the country's alleged plan to challenge the status quo in the Gaza conflict. In the meantime, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi stated today that it's time for action, not just talk, regarding the conflict in Gaza. He is heading to Saudi Arabia to participate in a summit on the war between Israel and Hamas militants. This marks the first visit to Saudi Arabia by an Iranian head of state since Tehran and Riyadh ended years of hostility under a China-brokered deal in March. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian emphasized that the summit will send a strong message to warmongers in the region, potentially leading to the cessation of war crimes in Palestine.
Peace be on Gaza, peace be on Palestine, peace be on the bloodshed over there, peace be on the resistance in Palestine and in Lebanon. Today, Palestine is the key to dignity, Islamic dignity, humanitarian dignity. At the very beginning, Mr. President, it's my pleasure to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this meeting, this 14th important meeting of the OIC, and it's very important at this particular time, at this very decisive time in the history of the region. And this extraordinary meeting is there for us to talk about the main topic now in the Arab and Islamic world, which is the Palestinian issue. This is the worst crime that has been witnessed by the people in history. The heroes of Gaza are there, and we need to take a decision to sort out the problem. And the entire Islamic world must be united, and through this unity, depending on Allah Almighty, the ability of Allah Almighty, we can sort out the problem. We also need to depend on the abilities and capabilities of the Islamic world in order to save and rescue the entire Islamic nations. This organization must play a right and important role in order to symbolize a moment of unity. Iran has understood this, and the good neighboring policy is always adopted by Iran, and we are opening our arms for friendship with the Islamic countries today. And on behalf of the nation of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we are meeting today in order to go and help and support the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people is in need of our help and support. Today, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is not happy at all because of what's going on in Gaza and what's going on against the Palestinians. Today, the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him, is waiting and is expecting a lot from the Islamic nations and from the Islamic leaders. You are my brothers in religion. Today is a day to work. Today is a historic day. We need to support the heroes who defend Al-Aqsa Mosque. Today is a day to help and support the right against the wrong. This Zionist regime is the pharaoh of the moment. This Zionist regime is symbolizing the aim and goal of killing and see the bloodshed all over the place. Demonstrations around the world are showing to everyone that the love of Palestine is everywhere, is all over the place. Today we need to achieve that goal, and we have seen during the last 5 weeks in Gaza, we have seen a lot, and this is symbolizing the brutality and the violation to the international law. The heroes of Gaza are still there. The heroes of Gaza will always be there. They have done that through the last 2 decades. And Gaza has been suffering from a blockade for around 20 years. It is the biggest prison in the world.
The gathering of Islamic nations is occurring as more countries, like the UAE, are rising to condemn Israel's commission of war crimes against the civilian population in Gaza. Gaza's Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Youssef Abu al-Rish, currently inside Al-Shifa Hospital, which has been under Israeli drone, sniper and missile attacks, has called on the world to end the crimes against humanity in Gaza. He described a dire situation within the hospital, highlighting the impact on newborns in incubators and the challenges faced in providing medical care. During a news conference outside Al-Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, another doctor has urged the international community to put a stop to the war crimes being committed against Gaza's hospitals. He said that the besieged Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City is understaffed and on the verge of collapse. We appreciate your support as we bring you comprehensive coverage, often overlooked by the mainstream media. Please like and share to enable others to access alternative news about the conflict. Hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our future updates. Until our next update, take care.